Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, I can hear myself way too loud. I gotta turn that down. I'm kind of sweating a little, guys. My name's Chrissy Clark, by the way. And I'm here to fill in for Isabel. I'm so pumped to be with you guys. But Isabel's theme music, when you turn it on, I was like sitting here bumping. I'm kind of like sweating a little now. It's so fun. I'm so happy to be with you guys. This is awesome to be able to just fill in for such an awesome girl like Isabel. If y'all don't already know, she's in New Zealand not farting. She's fighting for the right life. I love that about her. And yeah, so excited to do this with y'all today. So here's what I want to talk about. Bachelor. Golden Bachelor, actually. It's a smash hit. We all know that. And it's under fire now, or at least the main character, contestant, whatever you want to call him. He's a 73-year-old man under fire from a cancel culture mob because apparently he said something fatphobic, and I guess this is even more crazy. He might have juiced up his resume, guys. I know. You've never seen that done in your entire life. Certainly no one in politics has ever done that. I'm thinking Joe Biden, our current president. But yeah, I guess we're canceling 73-year-old men for their opinions now. We also want to talk about this highly suspicious $59 million wedding that resulted with the groom going to jail. If you've never heard this story of Madelaine, Brockway, and Jacob LaGrange, y'all, I will bring it all to you. Do not even worry. We'll take care of it for you. Yeah, other than that, we'll talk about a few other different things here and there, but let's get started with what's going on. Let's start with, like I said, this whole shebang that's going on with the Golden Bachelor. So I'm going to pull up an article and we'll just be able to talk through it together. This is usually how I run things. So hopefully you guys are cool with it running like this too. So let me pull my mic up just a little bit too. I know sometimes this mic can be a little quiet. So the Golden Bachelor. The Hollywood Reporter did this whole story on the Golden Bachelor's not so golden past. Okay. And the subhead reads, Secret Girlfriends, a juiced up resume, and the selling of I'm not even gonna, septuagenarian? Yeah. Stud? Oh my gosh, like, why are you guys going after a 73-year-old man? Okay, let's see what this is all about. So, by sharp contrast to the young cads with six-pack abs previously populating the hot tubs on ABC's The Bachelor, Gary, it's spelled like Jerry, but it's Gary Turner, the 72-year-old star of the Golden Bachelor spinoff, brought fresh air and life to the franchise with something reality TV never sees, genuine depth and sensitivity. So the premise of Jerry, whatever his name is that he's a grieving widower. His wife, Tony, passed away. They were married for 43 years, and he kind of recounts his love story with Tony and how she passed away from an infection just 1 month after their move to his dream retirement home on Big Long Lake in Hudson, Indiana. And Hollywood Reporter, why are you being so suspicious? Being like dream, like, okay, maybe it's not your dream per se to be living in Big Long Lake, Indiana, but like that doesn't mean it's not somebody else's dream. I feel like right off the bat with this article, I'm getting these feelings of like, I am better than you. I am holier than thou from Hollywood Reporter. And that's irritating to me right from the get-go, right? So then we kind of get this whole backstory on how Gary, he's able to switch gears, easily interact with people, including female contestants on the show. And he just kind of has this whole like perfect man ideal. And ladies, as they're called on the program, quickly started to swoon and declare their love for him. And let's face it, we all fell for Gary, which is the reason why they were doing the Golden Bachelor, by the way, is not because everyone was clamoring for old people to be the Bachelor. No offense to old people. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like no one was clamoring for this to be a thing. The reason why we needed a Golden Bachelor is because the premise of The Bachelor used to be you come on, you fall in love, and you get married to that person. And what The Bachelor has become, the entire franchise, is I don't really need to get married. I just want to come on for internet fame. And then I'm going to, take my millions of Instagram followers and make $1 million business out of it. And then maybe we'll date and we'll eventually break up. That's essentially how it always goes. And we couldn't find 30-year-olds. We tried that. The Bachelor tried that, to have 30-year-olds come on the show and fix that problem. That wasn't working. So instead of trying the 40-year-olds or the 50-year-olds, we just went straight to 70-year-olds and just tried the Golden Bachelor. And it's been a wild success, like a big success. And that's because Jerry, he really stole everyone's heart. And one of the big claims that he made was that he hasn't dated in 45 years. So that kind of came at like, oh, this poor guy, he hasn't dated before. He hasn't dated in a long time. Like, we need to take pity on him in a way. And I guess I should add a caveat there that while this may seem manipulative, that an old man says he hasn't dated in 45 years and that's not entirely the truth, might I just add that the Bachelor producers are considered some of the most notorious manipulators of all times. Like, it's a well-known thing that this is a problem. So let's keep reading the story so I can kind of give you guys a little bit more information about what's going on. So there are apparently some discrepancies with Gary's story, and the Hollywood Reporter is alleging that the Bachelor Nation ABC either ignored them or to sell a buffed up, shinier storyline for greater impact, or producers presented an incomplete and misleading image of Turner when the Bachelor was perpetuating these remarks. I'm going to go with the latter. I'm going to go with like the 73-year-old man is not like the most calculated man in the world. I think that the Bachelor knows how to sell a story, and the idea of saying, oh, I haven't dated anybody in 45 years versus, well, I guess I kind of saw a girl for like a couple months once or twice after my wife passed away. But other than that, I haven't seen anybody. Like, I think for TV and sensationalization's sake, it's not that much of a lie. I'm not encouraging lying, but like, it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, so that is part of it. But then also this is like one facet that Hollywood Reporter kind of threw in here too. So Gary, when he goes on The Bachelor, he has a Chiron. So it's like whatever is under your name. So like if I had a Chiron, it would read like Chrissy Clark, reporter with the Daily Caller, or Chrissy Clark, host of The Reaction, right? And it would read kind of like in that lower graphic. And Gary's Chiron would read retired restaurateur, which fancy way to say he owns or owned restaurants, right? So the Hollywood Reporter did the important journalistic work of going on Gary's LinkedIn. And Gary owned a restaurant until 1985 when he sold his Mr. Quick hamburger drive-in franchise in Iowa, where he'd worked his way up from high school. After that, he held various sales and management positions in the meat business, again, per his LinkedIn resume, which does not list an end date for his employment. You guys, drama! He didn't update his LinkedIn profile. Oh my gosh, he didn't update his LinkedIn profile. We might want to start like some sort of war over this. Maybe cancel the old man altogether, because he, it's not like old men aren't notorious for losing their passwords. He didn't update his LinkedIn profile. Jail! No, I'm kidding. This is ridiculous. So they're saying that he didn't update his LinkedIn profile, which means he's still working. So saying retired restaurateur is not 100% correct. Like, you guys have to see how ridiculous this is, too. Can you populate the chat with, like, no, I don't even know. This is so silly. Anyway, it says, it also says, never mentioned are his years of pickup post-retirement work, like installing hot tubs at Gannon Pools near Davenport, Iowa. He then worked as a maintenance man at the Vera French Mental Health Center, also in the Davenport area, as verified by his colleagues who spoke highly of him. You guys. The Hollywood Reporter is calling out this man, trying to cancel this sexagenarian because he never mentioned that he installed hot tubs after he sold his restaurant business or that he worked as a maintenance man. I have a feeling that the Hollywood Reporter, after they slandered him for taking up odd jobs after retiring from being a restaurateur, at the age of like 55, he retired. So he has lots of years to work and do things and, want to do other things. Like, do we really care that much? Do we? I don't. I feel like the Hollywood Reporter is being, quite frankly, like classist. Not like classist, just classist. They think that it's like, they're treating it like it's a bad thing to have post-retirement work. And like, oh, he's a big liar because he also worked a little after being a retired restaurateur. Oh my gosh. These people. Imagine if they put a modicum, just a itty bitty bit of effort into real journalism as opposed to whatever garbage this is. But I do want to get on to the next part, which is I am trying not to swear. So on my channel, I swear a lot. But out of respect for Isabel and the queen that she is, I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, but it's hard. So bear with me while I self-censor myself for the good of everybody's ears. I know. Anyway, so this article goes on to read, it was in the latter capacity that he would come to know a woman. This is Gary. We'll call her Carolyn, with whom he would go on to have a nearly 3-year relationship, beginning innocently enough a month after his wife's death. So you see, Gary dated someone else. Attractive and 14 years his junior, she was a staff accountant at the mental health center. So they met at one of Gary's odd jobs that he was working post-retirement. They dated for 10 months, even though this right above says they dated nearly 3-year relationship. How about nearly 3 years of knowing each other? That's probably more accurate because they only dated for 10 months and then lived together for 1 year and 9 months. That doesn't add up. They were just living together for fun, but they didn't actually date all of that time. I'm confused. I need clarification. But it doesn't seem like this makes any sense. And this account is drawn from interviews with Carolyn, as well as friends she confided at the time and text messages with Gary. And mind you, Carolyn, she's requested not to be named to protect her privacy. But everybody in this small Indiana town, they've got to know. They've got to know what's going on. And that's why she's doing this. She went forward to the Hollywood Reporter because she feels bad about herself because, and I'm just assuming this, that she feels bad about herself, that Gary's on national television saying, oh, I have never dated anybody in like 45 years since my wife passed away. And everyone's like, didn't he like date Carolyn for a hot second? And Gary like doesn't really consider it that big of a deal. It was like a 10-month little fling with somebody, little rebound right after his wife passed away. And everyone's like painting her as the fool. And you know what? She is the fool. She is the fool. And now she's trying to get her revenge by canceling the notoriously loved Golden Bachelor. Good luck. Anyway, so the article goes on to say the fact that he started dating is unexpected. He was single and a widower after all, not cheating. But Carolyn wasn't the only relationship Gary had failed to mention on TV. This fall, a reporter from the U.S. Sun reached out to Heather, a waitress at the Shady Nook, a bar and restaurant located on the lake in Hudson, Indiana, next to Gary's new lake house, so close he'd essentially made it his bachelor clubhouse. Heather, who no longer works at the Shady Nook, considered Gary her friends. She told the reporter that in the past 6 years, he dated a couple of women. They weren't all long-term, but they weren't short-term either. He was with a couple of women for a decent amount of time. It just didn't work out. So, in short, he had a couple of flings with people. He hasn't seriously dated since before he got married, and the Hollywood Reporter is trying to make something out of nothing. And by the way, this really just couples with exactly what I was saying before. Carolyn didn't want the years of her life as the Golden Bachelor's girlfriend to become national news fodder. But neither did she want to be the invisible woman whispered about in Davenport as the gullible gal Gary duped and then dumped. This is a scorned woman, very, very upset. And to be honest, you guys, it's like pathetic. It's really pathetic that this is taken as like a legitimate form of news nowadays. I just don't understand why people take this seriously, why anybody is wasting their time trying to cancel the Golden Bachelor. Be so for real, you guys. People need lives. They need lives. Okay. So I am looking at the chats right now. Y'all are saying you feel left out. I'm sorry. We do not do chats on my live show. So I am just, moving on. And you guys are saying boring. All right. You're done with Gary. Me too. Okay. I think that this is silly. So let's get into our next topic. You will notice I make lots of random noises and different accents. But I'm going to give you guys something. I'm going to send you something that I promise you is not freaking boring, okay? Have y'all heard about Madelaine Brockway? Drop a comment. I want to know. Have you heard about Madelaine Brockway or Madelaine, whatever it is, Brockway, and this whole TikTok wedding scandal? So I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of what I know, and then I will give you videos to kind of like help explain everything. So long story short, Madelaine Brockway, she is a rich car heiress, or I don't even know. I guess she's just a billionaire. Okay. Doesn't really matter how she's a billionaire, but she's a billionaire. Okay. And gets married. She has no social media presence. No one's ever really heard of this woman. And then out of nowhere, she hires a bunch of a high-end content creator to make her wedding go viral. And her $59 million wedding goes viral all over the internet. And then a couple days after her wedding, all of her social media is deleted. All of her wedding from other vendors are deleted. And magically, we start finding out that her boyfriend was put in jail. Or husband now. Not boyfriend. Her husband was put in jail. It's insane. So someone named Cora, she's done a really good job of breaking all of this down on TikTok because I don't have the time or energy, quite frankly, to follow every single bit of this, but it's so interesting. So I want to bring it to you, and Cora is going to kind of explain what's going on here. So let's watch.
In a very strange turn of events, it appears that Madelaine Brockway has deleted her TikTok. All trace of her account is gone, and her Instagram is now private. This has been such an interesting story to follow. In the 2 weeks since the wedding, we have seen the wedding being posted very strategically all over TikTok with questionable intention about how and why the content was being rolled out the way it was.
Really quick, I just want to note, she has his last name in her bio, and he also now has access to all of her money. As we find out that he's going to jail, or maybe going to jail. It's just odd that somebody of such fame and notoriety would want to tie herself to what we believe is a felon. None of it makes sense. Anyway, I'll let Cora keep talking.
Including the hiring of a social media consultant and creative content creator, to articles being posted all about the wedding, and the bride's account abruptly being deleted as soon as news about her husband's alleged arrest began. Now it's like it never happened. Like I said in my original story about something being off about this wedding, in my experience working with billionaires and being around them, they like to keep their lives incredibly private because once your net worth gets out, there's a lot of public interest about you. At the end of the day, I'm really happy for all of the vendors that were involved in this wedding that got positive promotion, because regardless of the weird circumstances around the wedding itself, their work was impeccable. This has been such an interesting story to follow, but on to the next.
Okay, I don't need to hear any more of that video, but fascinating, right? What? Okay, so this girl has now deleted all of her Instagram, social media. We don't know anything about why, but I'm going to pull up another video that kind of explains what the groom did, okay? So the groom, what the heck did he do? Why is he going to jail? Why is this of any importance? We'll get to that. But first, let's watch. Oh my gosh, one second. My end is not working right now. Let's get to what happened with the groom, what he did. If you have a guess, will you drop it? It's wilder than I expected. I kind of thought it was like white collar crime. No, it's legit crime. Okay, let's watch.
The groom from that $59 million wedding is facing life in prison. Apparently in March, Jacob Lagrone had an altercation with 3 cops in Texas wherein he pulled a pew-pew on the popo and discharged it at them. And if you're wondering how he's still breathing, come on, the answer's right there. He was indicted by a grand jury and charged with 3 counts of aggravation.
Yeah, I'm going to reject that. It's not because he's white. I'm sure there's something else going on. There's clearly something else going on. There's something so off about the fact that a man comes up, shoots guns at police officers, doesn't immediately go to jail for it, then publicly marries this woman, this billionaire woman, and then everything gets deleted and now he's going to jail. Like, how? Why? We're missing something. But let's let the secret racist kind of explain more.
Assault on a public servant. And in Texas, that means a minimum sentence of 5 years and a maximum sentence of life in prison. In fact, he was offered a plea deal already of 25 years in jail. And he had to cut his honeymoon short because he was back in Texas just today for a court hearing. Oh, also, he and his new wife, Madelaine Brockway, they started dating in March of 2020. That was when we were all knee-deep in COVID lockdown. We were all trying to figure out where we could get toilet paper from. You weren't supposed to be dating anybody!
Well, that doesn't matter. But, again, like, really, if you guys have any theories, conspiracy theories, anything, I am just clamoring for explanation as to why this man or this woman married this man when she knew that there was a plea deal on the table for him to go away to jail for 25 years. Is she trying to buy this man out of prison? Also, why would you want to marry somebody that shoots at cops? Like, doesn't add up. Oh, I don't even know. It just doesn't make sense. All right, let's finish up this video and then we'll go to an article that kind of explains a little more about this.
He's a habitual rule breaker is what I'm saying. But now he's a rich as shit rule breaker, so of course he's gonna get off, right? We all know he's gonna walk. But it's also only a matter of time before this guy screws up again, so what do you think is gonna happen first? Divorce or jail? Leave me a comment, let me know.
Divorce or jail? What's going to happen first? I'm going to go with jail. I don't know how much longer you can evade shooting at police, to be honest. That's, doesn't seem like a thing. And as a girly, and I'm assuming this whole community stands with the police, like, this is not acceptable. Nor is it acceptable that Texas is letting this guy, like, roam around. It's not cool. I kind of can't believe this is going on. So I have pulled up a article from Daily Mail that will hopefully give us just a little bit more insight into what's going on with Madelaine Brockway and, more details that we weren't getting before. So, again, this says Madelaine Brockway, 26, deletes her TikTok account where she rocketed to fame while flaunting her wedding of the century, which, by the way, the wedding was stunning. If you haven't seen it, oh my gosh, we're going to go through some pictures right now. So her wedding was dubbed the event of the century. She's a car dealership heiress who shot to internet fame after throwing an extravagant wedding last month in Paris, estimated to cost a whopping $59 million. However, the newlywed was mysteriously removed her perfectly curated wedding content after hiring a luxury content creator. So literally paying somebody to make all of this stuff go viral and then all of a sudden removing all of it after her husband, Jacob Lagrone's legal battles, after it was revealed that he was facing life in prison for wielding a firearm at police officers. What I don't understand is she knew they had the plea deal before the wedding. Why she would A, marry this jaboke, 2, make herself so publicly known when she was publicly unknown, and then put all of this content out and delete it. Like if this story came out, like if you saw this headline, it would read, random man who married billionaire heiress Jacob Lagrone is facing life in prison. That's what this would read. Nothing would be talking about Madelaine Brockway. Her name would be mentioned maybe once or twice, probably about this way into the article, pictures of their wedding that had leaked or whatever. But there is no way that putting this out there was a good PR move at all. And by the way, like, just so you know how absurd this wedding was, the event, which was held on November 18th, so a little less than a month ago, featured an intimate Maroon 5 concert. Have you ever heard, you yourself, of an intimate Maroon 5 concert? No. Okay. I can barely afford to go to a Maroon 5 concert with ticket prices the way they are, okay? Then it continues to say a rehearsal dinner at the Paris Opera House, a private lunch at the Chanel Haute Couture suite, and an overnight stay at the Palace of Versailles. Okay. I mean, how many of us could even afford like an eighth of that? And then, like, you know, pretty dress. I would say pretty dress, but like, I hope those are not her legs. I hope those are stockings, because that's terrifying. And it goes on to say, like, after the wedding, it was discovered by the internet, not by Madelaine Brockway, that 8 months ago, Madelaine Brockway's husband was indicted on 3 counts of aggravated assault on a public service in Texas, a first-degree felony. He faces 3 first-degree felony counts of firing at 3 cops, which means a life sentence if convicted. And I think he's going to be convicted. And so TikTok users quickly realized that the new queen of social media had been MIA following the wedding and everything was gone. I mean, this is her current thing. She's locked her social media account. She deleted her TikTok. These two are just like lovebirds loving, but he's also in jail. It makes no, this is the florals. I mean, stunning. But it still makes no sense, okay? It still makes absolutely no sense. I don't get it. I don't understand why she married this man. And I feel like we are missing out on something. And it brings me the same frustration of like not knowing what's going on with like Joe Biden per se. Like, it irritates me. I want to know. I feel like we deserve to know. Am I right? I know I'm right. It's okay. You don't have to say it. Anyway, let's get on to our next topic. Oh my gosh. I think y'all will really like this one. So I don't know if you've seen what I've been dubbing the flight from hell, but if you haven't, this is a child who screamed for, it's screamed, right? Not scream. Yeah, it's screamed. That sounds wrong. Sounds like ice cream. He was screaming on a flight for 8 hours. And I just want to go through this video. There's some comment from passengers that were on the plane, a parenting expert. I just want to talk about all of it. So let's get into watching The Flight from Hell. But brace with me. It's loud. This kid is loud. But let's get into it, okay?
That ear-piercing scream is an unruly child on a transatlantic flight to New York. The passengers describe an 8-hour flight from hell with non-stop and nerve-jangling screaming and fussing. They even covered their ears to drown out the 3-year-old. His mom was overheard telling flight attendants he has behavioral problems. Passenger Shane Townley.
All right, let's start there. Mom says kid has behavioral problems. That's code for mom sucks balls at parenting. Seriously. Like, your kid doesn't have behavioral issues that, I mean, you could say your kid's colicky, your kid's finicky, his ears hurt when they take off. Like, I have all the sympathy in the world for kids, but there is no excuse for allowing your child to scream for 8 hours at the top of their lungs. And it's just wildly absurd. And I think it likely comes from this whole era of gentle parenting. It's it's a new thing. Not a new thing, but like millennials have really implemented this whole idea of gentle parenting, wherein like your child punches you, for instance, and you say, no, honey, that's not how we, showcase our emotions. We don't hit people. And it's this very gentle way of telling kids no. But I think back to it and I'm like, if I dared to punch my mom, I think she would have punched me back. Not in like a violent way, but she would have been like, don't you freaking do that. Or she'd give me that stare, that mom stare. It's like, don't you dare. They don't even really move their lips. They just talk like this. That's parenting. And it's not fun. But there's this weird obsession with like being your child's best friend or helping them learn gently. And this is clearly an example of that. But there's a passenger that gives kind of more of an explanation. Let's watch this.
Shot the video.
She kind of looked like she was used to it. He was climbing all over the chairs. He was just screaming, would not let up. He was running up and down the aisles. There was nothing she could do.
Before the plane even took off from Germany, the child's mother could be heard asking a flight attendant to turn on the Wi-Fi so the child could be appeased with an iPad. She was also heard pleading, calm down, honey.
Everybody was just kind of looking at each other like, oh, this is going to be a long flight.
The passengers sure were relieved when the flight finally landed at Newark International Airport after 8 hours of screaming. The worst flight ever happened in August, but the video just came to light today. So what should you do to control an unruly child on a plane?
Okay. This is the iPad kid problem. There was a video circulating not that long of a Gen Z, like a Zoomer, saying, can we just all collectively agree that raising kids on iPads is a bad idea? And I really do believe that gentle parenting coupled with COVID pandemic, coupled with iPad children, it leads to a struggling generation of misbehaviors. I think it's true. Sure, it's my opinion, but like there's a lot of evidence showcasing that we are seeing rising, climbing number of kids that have to have the full-blown police called on them, not just, parents saying, this is problematic. Like, I wish my kid would behave better. No, the parents are involved. The teachers can't do anything to calm these kids down to the point where they just have to get the police involved because kids simply will not behave. And I just don't think that iPads are the answers. I really don't think so. I'm looking in the chat right now. You guys are saying these people are snowflakes, or the kids were snowflakes. Unforeseen, you said outdoors. Still got jaw issues from having it dislocated by my mom's slap when I was 12. Oh my gosh. And Alex Padron, sorry. You're suggesting melatonin? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about like the drugging of children, but like, sure, maybe a little drugging of children would be helpful. I just feel like we need to teach children about patience. And when you have instant gratification, you don't really learn any form of patience. And y'all, I am one to talk, okay? I have no form of patience. Like, I'm a very instantaneous person, but I still had to learn that virtue throughout my life, right? And when I used to have to drive from Chicago, which is where I grew up, to Toronto, which is where I'm from, like I was born and my family still lives, we would have to do that drive. It was 11 hours. We didn't have iPads. Sometimes we had that movie, like the flip open movie where you would physically put the CD into the movie, right? You know what I'm talking about? If you're over the age of like 26, you'll know what I'm talking about. We would have to play that, but that thing ran out of battery eventually. It wasn't going to get us to an 11-hour car ride. We had to learn patience. We had to play games. We had to do fun activities. We had to try literally anything. I would literally look at raindrops on the side of my car window. Okay? There were so many things that we would try to do in order to just bring fun, creativity, and that's being completely lost on this generation. And I think that it's going to have a detrimental impact because thinking creatively, playing games, imagination, playing house, I used to play mermaids in the pool, all of these things, they're being lost on people. They're being lost on this younger generation, and they're just thinking whatever they need to think. Right? Or being told to think. It's so crazy. Anyway, let's hear what this parenting expert has to say about this. I am nervous because anytime somebody calls himself an expert, they're probably not really an expert. It's usually a terrible opinion, but let's hear it out.
We asked parenting expert Liz Stern.
You need to come on this plane prepared because you know that the baby is going to start crying, passengers are going to get upset, but you need as a parent to actively be prepared for this. Snacks are really important, to have snacks prepared for the baby or the child. Also a book, maybe a favorite book or a favorite toy. You can also try an iPad, download ahead of time the songs that a baby might like to soothe the baby.
Tips that
Now, I'm going to cancel that woman for saying that. I don't need to hear any more of her, quite frankly, propaganda. That woman had an iPad for her child. Didn't work out. I think that was like the whole point of the story, is that like it didn't work out. She had the iPad. You think that unruly kid wouldn't have taken those snacks and shoved it right in his mom's face or thrown it at somebody else? What about the book? You think that kid wasn't going to chuck a book? The problem is not the distraction, right? The problem is the parenting style that goes on at home that teaches kid that this is appropriate behavior. I see you guys are populating with, your guys' childhood, your remembrance of this. Red said, gone are the days when mom would look at a kid acting like an a-hole and say, wait until I tell your dad. Oh my gosh, I know my mom. Well, my mom kind of used to do that, but honestly, she was scarier than my dad. She was scarier. My dad would like yell, but he had girls, so he couldn't do as much. He couldn't be as effective. Scaring my mom though, that was the thing. And speaking of moms, by the way, mom and pop shops, they are just not really as prevalent in the age of Amazon, big box shops, crap like that. So I just want to make sure that I introduce you guys or remind you guys that this whole project, this whole stream that Isabel does is made possible by Public Square. They are a platform of more than 70,000 plus small businesses, pro-life, pro-family, and pro-freedom, okay? You guys can check out all of these businesses at www.publicsquare.com. You can add your own small business to the roster as well if you want to. This is, just no pressure to do this, but if you're looking for conservative alternatives, you can always find them over at Public Square. All right. With that being said, my announcement voice, I want to go over this video of, I don't know, do you guys know who Pramila Jayapal is? I don't know how political this audience is. But Pramila Jayapal is a representative from, I want to say, Washington State. And she's very progressive. She's far left, to say the least. And she's just kind of the worst. She's kind of the worst. And she has had this viral CNN clip going on. And I'm going to play it for you guys. And then I have some response and an incredible satire headline all about this woman. So let's go through Pramila Jayapal on CNN.
Brutal rape, sexual violence against Israeli women by Hamas. I've seen a lot of progressive women, generally speaking, they're quick to defend women's rights and speak out against using rape as a weapon of war, but downright silent on what we saw on October 7th and what might be happening inside Gaza right now to these hostages. Why is that?
And I've condemned what Hamas has done. I've condemned
specifically
all of
women?
the actions. Absolutely. The rape, the...
So I guess here the argument is feminists are always saying rape bad. We all collectively should be saying rape is bad. I don't think that's a difficult thing to say. But for some reason, feminists, they're the first ones to be cheering Me Too, and yet this brutal assault happens on young women and children. We're talking about the cutting off of breasts before murdering women. And the equivalence starts to kind of come in. The moral equivalence of but we have to see it this way, but also it's like all of a sudden these women don't matter as much. And I think that's what's frustrating. But let's keep watching.
Of course, but I think we have to remember that Israel is a democracy. Of course, but I think we have to remember. Of course, but I think we have to remember.
With respect, I was just asking about the the women and you turned it back to Israel.
That rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations, terrorist organizations like Hamas.
1 second. I'm sorry. I just have to pause it there. First of all, the editing on this video is phenomenal. It's cracking me up. Second, no, rape doesn't just happen in war. Like, I don't know the last time that Israel went in and did this to Gazans or Palestinians. I don't know the last time. Do you recall in World War II ever learning about Americans going in and raping women in Germany? I don't recall that. I don't think that's a normal part of war. That's a normal part of terrorism. And it's why terrorists should not be equivalent with normal human beings. I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand why we can't just say what's so obvious, that there's good people and there's bad people. But keep watching Pramila Jayapal try to make that happen.
Obviously are using these as tools. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the outrages against However, I think we have to be balanced. However, I think we have to be balanced. But I think we have to remember. However, I think we have to be balanced. But I think we have to.
You get the point. We have to be balanced. And what she's trying to say here is that Israelis and Palestinians are two separate groups of people. Inside of Palestine is a group called Hamas, terrorists. And she's trying to say that Palestinians don't always want the same thing as Hamas. Liar. Liar. Just outright liar. If she knew anything about the region, she would know that those rapes and atrocities that were happening on October 7th it was not just Hamas. It was average Palestinian citizens that this was happening to. And these average Palestinians, by the way, they voted for Hamas to be in power. So, elections have consequences. We love to hear when the Democrats say that. Just saying. Frickin' absurd. Anyway, I just can't stand someone like Pramila Jayapal who tries to preach and be holier than thou about feminism, about anything that has to do with Me Too, with Donald Trump is a threat to the world. Like, give me a break, okay? People have issues. I get that. But at least we're not like, in favor of rapists. Just a thought. Just a thought. And this brings me to just a hilarious article. If you guys know what the Babylon Bee is, it's amazing. It's an incredible satire news organization, and they put this headline out. I just couldn't stop laughing. It says, Bill Cosby joins Hamas, so feminists will stop condemning him for rape. Ha! This is so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. These people are ninnies. I want to bring that word back. Bring back ninnies. Bill Cosby will join Hamas, right? So that people like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, all of them will stop condemning him for rape. I'm sure Harvey Weinstein also wants to get on this bandwagon, of course, because why wouldn't you want to get on this bandwagon where you just get to obfuscate rape because you have the right political beliefs, or actually, honestly, really the wrong political beliefs if we're being honest, right? But we're not being honest. I know that for a fact. Anyway, 1 second. I accidentally clicked away from the chat. That was my bad. And I do want to get your guys' reaction to that story. Okay, sorry. It happens, but it is rare and very, very harshly. Yeah, you guys are saying there was raping in Iraq. There was torture of terrorists in Iraq. I'm pretty waterboarding, but I don't think we were outright out there raping people. That's certainly not a thing. At least to my knowledge, there's no outright raping that was happening. But, so yeah, I'm going to say no to that. But anyway, let's get into our next topic, which is this idea that women don't understand the patriarchy. And quite frankly, it's true. Women, they love or they hate the patriarchy. They say they hate the patriarchy, but yet they outwardly benefit from the patriarchy and they want to live off the it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to show you this video from Turning Point USA contributor Morgan McMichael, friend of the show, friend of myself as well. And these girls are going to explain to you why they hate the patriarchy. Okay? I'm going to let these girls talk.
Why don't we like the patriarchy? Because the patriarchy. Why? Because it makes it so much harder to exist and just like have equal rights, and it just that.
So do you think women have it like harder in society?
Yes, definitely.
Do you think men at all face any hardships at all, or is it really just like an attack on women in our society?
Well, I feel like they're really expected to be the breadwinners all the time.
Do you like that or not like that?
I personally like that because I wouldn't mind not working in the future. So, okay.
There's that inconsistency. There it is. F the patriarchy. Yeah, I don't like it. It keeps me oppressed. But also, men have to be the breadwinners and I want to stay at home. Do you see how that doesn't really add up? Come on, ladies. We're better than that, okay? You don't have to be against the patriarchy to see that women and men live differently. In fact, we should acknowledge that men and women are different, okay? And we should say, hey, men are men and women are women, all right? It should be so easy, and we should appreciate the fact that men go out there, they are instinctively called and driven by God to go and provide for families, and women are instinctively nurturing, and we're meant to, live a simpler, more simplistic, holistic life. And I love that about humanity. And yet you have girls who, by the way, clearly dress for the male gaze, and it's just so silly that these girls are out here like, oh, that's the patriarchy. But also, thanks, patriarchy. And just wait, because I think this video is about to get better. I can already tell.
In the future, you want to be a mom?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, you want to be a wife?
Yes.
What does that look like for you if we don't like the patriarchy?
I'm gonna let you answer that one.
Oh, well, I was just going to say it's not about like hardships. It's just about like making it an even playing field.
Okay.
I mean, everyone can have a hard life, but women are like statistically targeted more.
Okay. Women are statistically targeted more? I don't know what that means. Like, I honestly have no clue what she means by that. That women are like in a worse place. Wait, what? It just doesn't really add up. I don't get it. What are you oppressed from? I guess the argument that women make is that, oh, it's difficult for us to come out in corporate America or whatever. Like, you're not meant to be in corporate America, honey. Like, there's better for you. There's more for you, okay, than just being in corporate America. I don't understand this need for like women to compete on the same level as men. It gives that same like, what's the word? Like girl boss energy. I hate that word. I hate girl bossing. It's so cringe. It's so yucky. Ugh. Like, you don't need to be the same as men. The fact that there's a difference between men and women is a good thing. And you don't have to compare yourself to men in order to be good. Does that make sense? Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Daloon, you said, wow, Isabel, new haircut. I think there's a little bit more different with me than just the hair, but it's not Isabel, y'all. My name is Chrissy Clark. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller. I have my own YouTube show called The Reaction with Chrissy Clark. So hopefully you can subscribe to both channels because Isabel and I do a lot of like cross-posting, lots of work together. And I'm just so honored to be talking with you guys. This is so very fun to do. In our last like 5-ish, 10-ish minutes, I do also want to continue on this road of like feminism gone horribly wrong. So have you guys heard about the U.S. women's soccer team like post Megan Rapinoe? I don't know about you guys, but I was really hoping that like the wokeness of the U.S. women's soccer team would die with Megan Rapinoe's career. not that I was like actively praying, but like, please, Lord, it would just make society like a little bit more empowering for women instead of like cringy girl power boss. Like I was saying, I really hate that energy. So I was looking forward to seeing U.S. women's soccer team post Megan Rapinoe. Turns out it's just as cringy and awkward, and these women are trying to act like men while failing to realize that they're always going to lose to men. So there's this video I want to show you guys of somebody from the U.S. women's soccer team getting really amped up about playing a fourth tier group. They're actually fourth tier, retired men's soccer team. And we'll talk about the results after, but just watch this video, okay? It's like 17 quick seconds, and it's super cringy.
Messages. Ready? This message is for Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. 1, you should be here right now with your squad. 2, your team about to go down in North Carolina. Let's go! Let's go! USA! USA!
So cringe, right? I can't possibly be the only one that thinks this is hella cringy. Like, ew. It's so cringy. I don't get why this girl would put herself in such a horrible light. Like, she looks silly talking like this. And then you guys, the ending is so sweet if you not hate women. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if you just hate this girl boss attitude, let's read this. Fourth tier men's team destroys U.S. women's soccer team 12-0. So while this girl's out there going, USA, girls are better, right? She looked like she was having a spasm. She's sitting over there looking freaking crazy. And then she got her butt handed to her 12-0. This completely reaffirms that biological mans will always have a physical advantage over women, okay? It doesn't matter if you're playing the fourth tier men's team randomly, okay? Doesn't matter. They are still going to kick your butt, women. I don't understand why this is lost on the community. Alex is in the group going, I feel like my Sunday team can beat them. Well, if it makes you feel any better, if it gives you any consolation, pretty sure a group of 12-year-old soccer players did beat the U.S. women's soccer team with Megan Rapinoe on there. And also, this isn't just a soccer thing, right? If you guys are interested, I don't know how many of you have ever heard of me before, but if you go on my Instagram or my TikTok, which I advise people not to have TikTok, but you got to do what you got to do to market yourself. If you use these platforms, I kind of came up in the conservative movement because I started doing this thing called 5 underreported stories you need to know. Okay. There are these videos where I tell you 5 stories that if you turn on Fox, CNN, or MSNBC, you probably haven't heard them before because they're just not getting the coverage they deserve. So we highlight them. One of the stories I was highlighting yesterday was that there was a cyclo championship in Illinois. So, cycling, and they had a pedestal, a bronze pedestal, a silver pedestal, and a gold pedestal. And do you know who was on the gold and silver pedestal? Gold and silver pedestal at the women's cyclo championships? 2 men. And you could see their wee-wees, by the way. Like, it was clear as day. So this isn't just a problem in cycling or soccer. Serena Williams got her butt handed to her by, I believe it was like the 253rd, some number in the 200s, best tennis player that was a male. So it happens in tennis. We saw it in swimming with Riley Gaines. This is a problem across everything. Across every single sport. And that's because, quite frankly, men have no place in women's sports. Okay? Let's read this article. I'm going to move myself so we can accurately read this article. So, over the weekend, the U.S. women's national team was crushed by men's Wrexham AFC team in a 12-0 defeat. Wrexham, a Wales-based team owned by American actors Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. I don't know how you say that, but I know who he is. He's a very good actor. They're part of England's 4th tier League Two. Both teams are made up of current, former, and special guest players, right? They got walloped 12-0. According to Fox News, 7 of the 12 goals were scored by Wrexham in the first 20 minutes, with the team ultimately getting to round 2 of the soccer tournament in North Carolina. The women's national team only had 5 shot attempts during the entire game, compared to Wrexham's 39 chances at goal, 12 of which were completed. They could not even get one goal. Not one singular goal. How pathetic. Sincerely, how pathetic. That you would go out there, that you would champion these ideals of pushing transgender adults and transgender minors onto sports teams, and yet it's very clear the biological differences. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're the top tier women's team. You're going to lose 9 times out of 10 to any legitimate or semi-legitimate men's team. It's just how it is, because men have physical advantages over women, okay? I don't even know. And then, Alex, you made a really great point. You said, why is it always men joining women's sports and not the other way around? And it's 2-tier. One, it's really not problematic when women join men's sports, not because it's not problematic, but because, let's be honest, they're not doing anything. They're not taking away spots from men because men are bigger. They're always going to beat women. So what's the point? Like, there's no real problem there, if you know what I mean. They're not even probably going to get to play because they can't even keep up in the girls division, probably, with all these mental health and emotional health and physical health problems from transitioning. There's no way they're keeping up with the men's team. Then, second, men oftentimes more than women suffer from something called autogynephilia. And what it is a disease, I'll call it, or mental disorder, wherein men get turned on by seeing themselves as women. So that's why a lot of men will dress up as drag queens. It's a form of autogynephilia, where they get aroused by seeing themselves as women or seeing men as women. And so it is a lot of times a sexual perversion that unfortunately young women on sports teams are forced to bear the consequences of. I believe it was in New Jersey very recently, a young man won the women's swimming championship, or he was beating all these school world records that they had, and on his forearm he had tattooed a naked man with a naked woman with man genitalia. So that might answer your question as to why it's always men coming into women's spaces and not the other way around. And sexual proclivity is just so disgusting, the way that people have taken advantage of it. Anyway, let's continue on. So let's see what they all had to say in response to this. So the U.S. women's soccer team, managed by Mia Hamm, featuring players such as Heather O'Reilly, Laura Lindsay, the first of which has won 3 Olympic medals playing for the U.S. women's team. Mia Hamm, icon, right? We're super proud, Heather O'Reilly told NBC Sports after the game. Hopefully we've proved to anybody, just go for it. Just live. What's the worst that could happen? We lose 16-0 to Wrexham? We don't care, because we're living. We're being bold and we're being brave. Here we have 2 amazing products that American soccer fans are getting behind. It's just a ton of fun, and it's brought us all together. I mean, I don't think the message here is that, you shouldn't go after your dreams. I'm not suggesting that, but, maybe your dreams possibly just shouldn't include losing that, quite frankly, violently to men. I don't even know. It's just silliness. It's pure silliness. These people are Delulu. If you guys don't know, if you guys haven't seen this video, there's this guy that always says Delulu, delusion, is not the solution, right? Delusion's not the solution. Delulu is not the salulu, as he would say. He's epic. Well, anyway, thank you guys so dang much for welcoming me into your live stream, your usual thing. Again, some line items. Go check out Public Square. Go follow me on YouTube over at The Reaction with Chrissy Clark. You can find me on Instagram at Chrissy Clark the Chrissy Clark on Instagram. And Chrissy Clark _ on TikTok. so much fun hanging out with you guys. I will be back on the stream, regular time, filling in for Isabel this Friday as well. So I will see you then. Enjoy your Wednesday night, and we'll see you next time.